The sun was barely rising over the jagged cliffs of Kael'thar, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. The air was thick with dust, carrying the metallic tang of old battles that had scarred the planet for centuries. The human squad moved cautiously, boots crunching on the rocky terrain. Commander Jace led the team, his eyes scanning the horizon with the precision of someone who had survived countless skirmishes. Around him, his team of explorers and warriors followed closely, every muscle tense, every sense alert. Kael'thar was known for its hostility. The planet's native inhabitants were fierce, unpredictable, and technologically advanced. Among them, the Alaris warriors were feared above all. Legends spoke of their strength, agility, and ruthlessness in battle. None who faced a Alaris elite returned without severe scars, if they returned at all. And today, Jace knew, they would face one of the deadliest of all Alaris fighters. The first sign of danger came as a sudden roar, echoing from the cliffs above. Dust swirled violently as a figure emerged, larger than any human had ever seen. Its armor was black and jagged, reflecting the dim sunlight in sharp shards. Jace's pulse quickened, but he remained calm. This was why he had trained for years for moments like this. The alien warrior moved with shocking speed, covering the distance between them in moments. Its weapon, a blade that shimmered with strange energy, cut through the air with a hum that made the hairs on Jace's arms stand. It struck first, aiming a devastating blow at one of his team members. Jace reacted instinctively, diving to push the man out of the way. The blade missed, slicing through a rock and sending sparks flying. "Formation!" Jace shouted, drawing his own weapon, a pulse rifle designed for both firepower and precision. His team fanned out, taking cover behind boulders and jagged stones. The alien didn't hesitate. It leapt into the air, landing among them with the force of a falling boulder. Its movements were fluid, almost graceful but lethal. Each swing of its blade cut a dangerous path, forcing the humans to dodge, block, or risk death. Jace's mind raced. He had trained for this, analyzed every movement, every possible strategy, but nothing could have fully prepared him for the raw power and speed of the Alaris warrior. He noticed a pattern in its attacks. It favored the right side, overcommitting in certain swings. Exploiting this could be the key. "Stay calm, don't get reckless," he yelled to his team. They nodded, though fear was evident in their eyes. Jace crouched behind a jagged rock, observing, calculating. The alien was powerful, yes, but not invincible. Every creature had a weakness. As the battle raged, rocks and dust flew in every direction. Laser pulses from rifles and energy blasts from grenades lit up the dull landscape. The alien blocked and dodged with precision that seemed impossible, but Jace noticed it hesitated when forced to pivot quickly. Using this, he devised a risky plan. He sprinted from his cover, drawing the alien's attention. The warrior lunged at him, expecting an easy kill. Jace twisted mid-run, firing a carefully aimed pulse at the alien's leg joint, a spot where its armor was thinner. The shot hit, causing the alien to stumble. It roared, a sound that vibrated through the ground and swung its blade wildly. Jace ducked just in time, rolling to the side. This was the opening he needed. Using the alien's momentum against it, he feinted left, drawing a swing that overshot, and then struck the alien's armor with a precision strike to its midsection. Sparks erupted. The alien roared again, this time in pain, staggering backward. The battle slowed as both warriors sized each other up. The human's chest heaved with exertion, sweat and grime mixing on his face. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through him, sharpening his senses. The alien's breathing was heavy, but it still stood, blade raised, eyes glowing with anger and fear. "You are strong," the alien growled in a harsh, guttural voice, broken by exertion. "But not enough." Jace tightened his grip on his rifle. "It's over," he said firmly, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You can't win." The alien lunged again, faster than before, a blur of dark energy and jagged armor. Jace sidestepped, using the momentum to deliver a final strike with a shock blade attached to his rifle. It connected with the alien's chest, sending a jolt of electricity through its body. The warrior screamed, staggering to its knees, armor smoking and cracked. Jace approached slowly, rifle trained on the alien. The weapon hummed, ready to fire again if necessary, but something unexpected happened. The alien lowered its blade. Its voice, once full of ferocity, now trembled. "Please, if you let me live, I beg you," Jace froze. He had faced many enemies, but never one that begged for mercy in such a raw, human-like way. The alien's eyes, glowing faintly under the cracked helmet, held fear, pain, and something resembling regret. It was a side of the Alaris he had never seen: vulnerability, a recognition of its own mortality. The team behind him held their breath, unsure of what to do. Some gripped their weapons tightly, expecting Jace to execute the alien immediately. Others looked uncertain, conflicted by the sight of a defeated opponent pleading for life. Jace lowered his rifle slightly, studying the alien. He remembered the stories of the Alaris, proud, ruthless, and loyal only to their own code. And yet here it was, humbling itself before him. Could an enemy truly change? Could mercy be the stronger choice? The alien continued, voice barely above a whisper. I was only following orders. I never wanted this war. I have family, children, please." A tension hung in the air. The humans had come to Kael'thar expecting bloodshed. The mission was clear: neutralize threats, gather intel, survive. But none of that prepared them for a moment like this, when the enemy showed emotion, weakness, and the possibility of understanding. Jace looked at his team. "Weapons down," he ordered. His voice was calm but resolute. Some hesitated, but they obeyed. The alien's eyes widened slightly, disbelief evident. It had expected death, not mercy. "Whoa," it asked, voice shaky. "Not yet," Jace replied. "You survive for now, but you answer my questions. You tell me everything about your command, your strategies, your allies. We may yet find a way to end this without more blood." The alien swallowed hard, struggling to comprehend the mercy it had been shown. Its pride was wounded, but survival instincts were stronger. Slowly, it nodded. I will speak, but I fear my leaders will come for me." Jay studied the alien carefully. Trust was a fragile thing, and in war, fragile things often broke. But he sensed sincerity. The alien's fear was real, and its desire to survive was genuine. He made a decision. This enemy would live, but under human control, and perhaps, in time, it could become more than a foe. The journey back to the human base was tense. The alien walked between the humans, restrained but unharmed, its head bowed. Occasionally, it glanced up at Jace, trying to gauge his intentions. Jace ignored the glances, focusing on the terrain and the possibility of ambushes. Every step was calculated, every movement cautious. As they walked, the alien spoke in broken, halting sentences. It revealed glimpses of its life, a world of discipline and harsh training, of leaders who valued power over life, of a culture that glorified battle but ignored compassion. Jace listened, absorbing every word. The more he learned, the more he understood that the enemy was not a monster but a product of circumstance, and perhaps capable of change. The humans had seen many enemies and many had died. But seeing a Alaris warrior humbled, pleading, and willing to speak truthfully was unlike anything they had experienced. It challenged their notions of war, of strength, and of what it meant to be human. Night fell as they approached a ridge overlooking the human base. The alien paused, staring at the distant lights, its expression unreadable. Jace approached, keeping a careful distance. "You survived today," he said quietly. "Not just because you are skilled, but because I chose mercy. Remember that. Life is not just about winning battles. Sometimes it's about choosing the right path, even when it's hard." The alien's response was a faint nod. "I understand. I thank you." Jace studied the warrior for a moment longer, then turned toward the base. The night was calm, but he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and the wars they fought were far from over. Yet, in this small act of mercy, he saw a glimmer of hope, that even in the darkest battles, humanity could teach its enemies the meaning of compassion. As they descended toward the base, the alien walked silently, restrained but alive. And for the first time, it felt something unfamiliar: trust. Jace knew that trust could be broken in an instant, that the alien could betray them at any moment. But he also knew that mercy, courage, and understanding were weapons more powerful than any blade or rifle. And in that moment, he felt certain that this act of humanity could change not only the fate of one alien warrior, but perhaps the fate of many worlds. The base gates loomed ahead, lights cutting through the darkness. Soldiers stood ready, alert, wary of the newcomer. Jace led the way, the alien following closely behind. Eyes watched, hearts weighed with suspicion, but Jace held his head high. This was the start of something new, an alliance forged not through fear, but through choice. And in that quiet, tense march toward the gates, both human and alien understood something profound. Victory was not only about defeating your enemy, but about knowing when to show mercy, when to extend a hand, and when to trust in something greater than fear. The alien's eyes met Jace's one last time before passing through the gates. No words were spoken, but an understanding passed between them. One life had been spared, and in that act, the seeds of a new future were planted. A future where enemies could become allies, where fear could be replaced with respect, and where humanity's courage and compassion shone brighter than any star in the galaxy. The alien warrior moved through the human base under the watchful eyes of the guards, its steps careful, hesitant. Every soldier it passed seemed to judge it, suspicion and distrust written across their faces. Jace noticed this but remained calm, knowing that acceptance would take time. The alien's armor was damaged from the earlier fight, scorched and cracked in places. Its head hung low and its hands flexed nervously as though it were unused to being powerless. In the brief silence of the corridors, the alien finally spoke, its voice low and almost fearful. "I do not understand your mercy. On my planet, mercy is weakness." "You should have killed me." Jace glanced at it, keeping his expression neutral. "Mercy isn't weakness," he said quietly. "It's strength. You've survived because I chose to see more than just a warrior. You've survived because I believe even enemies can change." The alien remained silent, considering his words. Trust, it realized, was a strange and alien thing, one that it had never experienced. On Kael'thar, life was about survival, about power and loyalty to your own kind. Showing weakness could cost you everything, even your life. And yet here was a human, offering the unthinkable, a chance to live. As they moved deeper into the base, Jace explained the situation to the commanding officer. "This warrior has potential," he said firmly. "It can give us valuable intelligence about the enemy regime. We can use it to prevent more conflicts." Some soldiers muttered, skeptical and uneasy. One of the lieutenants stepped forward, voice sharp. "Sir, it is an alien. It could be lying. It could betray us at any moment. How can we trust it?" Jace's gaze was steady. "Trust must be earned," he said, "but we start by giving it a chance. We're not doing this for kindness alone. We're doing it for strategy, for survival. If it betrays us, we will deal with it. But for now, it stays alive." The alien's eyes widened slightly at this explanation. It was not used to such logic, combining both caution and mercy. On Kael'thar, decisions were simple: kill or be killed. Nothing in its life had prepared it for a human who could balance compassion with strategy. Over the next days, the alien remained under close watch. Jace insisted on walking with it, teaching it the ways of the humans, explaining their tactics, and even sharing small moments of conversation. At first, the alien remained distant, speaking only when necessary. It would answer questions in short, clipped sentences, its pride and suspicion a constant barrier. But slowly, cracks began to appear. One evening, as they sat near the edge of the base looking at the glowing lights of the distant city, the alien spoke more freely. "I had a life once," it said, voice barely audible. "I had children, a home before this endless war." Jace nodded, listening. "Tell me about them," he encouraged gently. The alien's glowing eyes softened, a faint memory flickering across its features. They never understood why I had to fight. My people, my leaders, they demanded obedience. There was no room for family, for love, for mercy. Only orders, only strength, only war. A quiet anger passed through it, tinged with sorrow. And now, they want me dead for failing. Jace placed a reassuring hand on its shoulder. "You survived because you were defeated by me, yes, but you also survived because I chose to give you a chance. That's not weakness. That's an opportunity to change your path, to find something better." The alien looked at him, uncertainty and gratitude in its eyes. "Change is difficult," it admitted, "but I will try." Days passed, and the alien began to observe human life more closely. It noticed the routines, the discipline, and the unexpected moments of kindness among the soldiers. It watched children being cared for by their families in the safe zones, soldiers laughing quietly after a meal, and humans helping one another without expectation of reward. These small acts of compassion bewildered it. On Kael'thar, such behavior was seen as weakness, a vulnerability to be exploited. Yet the alien could not ignore the contrast. These humans were strong, not just in body but in spirit. Their courage and empathy coexisted with their combat skills. It began to understand that survival was not merely about dominance, but about alliances, trust, and understanding. Jace continued to challenge the alien, training it in human tactics, showing how combining intelligence with skill could be far more effective than raw strength alone. The alien, for the first time, found itself learning, adapting, and enjoying the process. It felt a sense of accomplishment it had never experienced in battle, a sense of pride without fear or violence. One night, an urgent alarm rang through the base. Scouts had detected a rogue alien faction approaching the perimeter. They were Alaris warriors loyal to the alien regime, intent on capturing or killing the escaped warrior. Jace immediately readied the team, positioning soldiers along strategic points, preparing for an ambush. The alien's eyes widened at the news. They will kill me," it whispered. "I am not strong enough." "You are stronger than you think," Jace said firmly. "And you are not alone. We fight together." The battle that followed tested everything the alien had learned. Rogue warriors poured through the rocky terrain, their numbers overwhelming, their weapons deadly. Jace and his team fought fiercely, and the alien, for the first time, fought alongside humans not as an enemy but as an ally. Its movements were precise, calculated, and deadly. Where once it had only relied on brute strength, now it employed tactics, using terrain, timing, and human coordination. The humans noticed the difference immediately. The alien was no longer the fearsome foe of Kael'thar's legends. It was a partner, a fighter with understanding, humility, and intelligence. Each time it struck, it saved a human soldier or diverted an attack, proving its loyalty in action. During a particularly dangerous moment, Jace found himself surrounded by 3 rogue warriors. The alien leapt in without hesitation, striking with precision and protecting him. Jace barely had time to react, but together they eliminated the threat. Afterwards, the alien stood panting, exhausted but unbowed. "You saved me," Jace said quietly. "I owed you," the alien admitted, lowering its head. "You showed mercy when none was possible. I will repay it with my life." The human soldiers, witnessing the exchange, began to murmur among themselves. Some were still wary, but many could not deny what they had seen. The alien had fought for them, not against them. It was learning, adapting, and perhaps evolving beyond its violent instincts. After the skirmish, the alien stayed behind the human lines to tend to minor wounds, its pride still intact, but its respect for humans growing. It began asking questions about Earth, about human strategies, and even about emotions. The concept of compassion puzzled it. Why do you show mercy? Why help someone who could kill you? Jace paused, considering. Because we can, he said finally. Because strength without compassion is hollow. Because mercy can inspire loyalty, change, and hope. And because sometimes saving a life today can save countless lives tomorrow. The alien processed this slowly, its glowing eyes reflecting the dim light. I do not know if my people will understand, but I see now that your way is different, stronger maybe. Over the following weeks, the alien continued to integrate into the base, assisting in strategic planning and reconnaissance. Its knowledge of the enemy's tactics proved invaluable, revealing weaknesses that human intelligence had overlooked. Jace worked closely with it, observing both its skill and its growing respect for human life. Yet tension remained. Some humans still feared betrayal, and whispers of doubt circulated. The alien overheard these conversations, a pang of guilt stirring within it. I understand, it told Jace one night. I have been a threat, and now I must prove I am more than that. You already are, Jace replied, his voice steady, but proving it takes time. Trust, loyalty, and courage, these are the measures of a warrior, not just strength or fear. One evening, while reviewing intelligence reports, the alien paused at a star map showing enemy positions. Its fingers traced the lines, hesitating. So many will die if we do not act, it murmured. I want to help save them. Jace nodded, recognizing the shift. This was no longer a captured warrior following orders. This was someone making choices, guided by a new understanding, inspired by human courage and compassion. The journey from enemy to ally was not complete, but it had begun in earnest. The alien trained tirelessly, learning the human approach to combat, strategy, and even diplomacy. It began to see Jace not as an adversary, but as a teacher, a leader, and perhaps even a friend. The bond between human and alien grew slowly, founded on respect, shared experiences, and the understanding that survival was not about domination, but collaboration. In quiet moments, the alien would speak of its fears, its regrets, and its lost life. Jace listened patiently, offering guidance and reassurance. Slowly, the alien began to embrace hope, a foreign and frightening feeling for someone raised in a culture of fear and obedience. Then, one day, scouts reported a massive enemy fleet approaching. The Alaris regime had discovered their warriors' survival and was sending forces to reclaim or destroy it. The base went into high alert, and preparations for a major defense began. The alien stood beside Jace as they surveyed the approaching fleet. Its eyes, once filled with fear, now held determination. We must fight, it said. I will protect you. I will protect this place. Jace nodded, a faint smile forming. I know you will, and we will fight together, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as allies. As the fleet drew closer, the alien glanced at the humans around it. For the first time, it felt a sense of belonging, of purpose beyond mere survival. It was no longer a feared warrior of Kael'thar. It was something new, something stronger, a symbol of what mercy, understanding, and trust could create even in the harshest of worlds. And in that moment, as the stars reflected off the hulls of approaching ships, both human and alien understood a truth far greater than any battle. That compassion could change the course of war, that enemies could become allies, and that the choice to show mercy might just save more lives than any weapon ever could. The horizon glowed red as the massive Alaris fleet approached, their ships slicing through the atmosphere like dark predatory birds. Alarms blared across the human base, and every soldier moved with precise efficiency, preparing for what could be the most dangerous battle they had ever faced. Commander Jace stood at the control center, eyes fixed on the enemy formations displayed on the holographic screen. His pulse was steady, his mind clear. This was the moment when strategy, courage, and unity would be tested. Beside him, the alien warrior, once a terrifying enemy, now a fledgling ally, watched silently. Its armor had been repaired but still bore the marks of its previous defeat, a constant reminder of the journey it had undergone. For the first time, it stood not as a feared opponent but as a willing participant in a battle to protect lives, not take them. Its glowing eyes scanned the incoming fleet, and for the first time, a flicker of human-like determination shone within them. Jace placed a hand on the alien's shoulder. "This is it. Stick to the plan, trust your team, and most importantly, trust yourself." The alien nodded, its usual confidence tempered by newfound humility. "I will not fail," it said, its voice steady but low. "I owe you my life and I will protect it." The first wave of enemy ships descended, bombarding the perimeter with high-energy projectiles. Explosions shook the ground, sending clouds of dust and debris into the air. Human soldiers returned fire with precise volleys, supported by orbital strikes and automated defenses. Amid the chaos, the alien moved with grace and purpose, coordinating with humans, warning of weak points, and even rescuing soldiers caught in collapsing structures. Jace observed it closely. The alien was no longer just following orders. It was making decisions, anticipating threats, and acting with both courage and intelligence. Every life it saved, every enemy attack it countered, reinforced the fragile bond that had formed between human and alien. During a critical moment, a squad of elite Alaris warriors managed to breach the outer defenses, advancing toward the command center. Jace's team was overwhelmed, and the situation became desperate. The alien leapt into action without hesitation, blocking a lethal strike aimed at one of the human soldiers, and retaliating with a series of precise, calculated attacks that neutralized multiple enemies. "You are different," one of the soldiers muttered, barely able to keep pace with the alien's movements. "It's like it's one of us now." The alien's eyes flicked toward Jace, acknowledging the remark with a slight nod. For the first time, it felt the weight of responsibility not as a burden, but as a purpose. It understood that its survival was no longer about fear, power, or obedience. It was about protecting those who had trusted it, about proving that mercy and courage could create a warrior stronger than any conqueror. The battle raged for hours. Waves of enemy fighters crashed against human defenses, but the humans, guided by Jace's strategy and aided by the alien's insight, held their ground. Explosions illuminated the battlefield, debris flew in every direction, and the sound of energy weapons echoed across the terrain. Yet through the chaos, the alien remained calm, calculating each move, protecting civilians and striking with precision. At one point, Jace found himself cornered by 3 towering Alaris warriors. He raised his weapon, but before he could act, the alien lunged between him and the attackers. Its movements were fluid, almost effortless, deflecting blows and striking with surgical accuracy. The human soldiers watched in awe as the alien fought not for glory or dominance, but for survival and loyalty. After the skirmish, Jace exhaled deeply, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. The alien stood beside him, breathing heavily but unbowed. "You saved me again," Jace said quietly, placing a hand on the alien's shoulder. "I owed it," the alien replied, voice steady but filled with emotion. "And I owe it to all of you to protect this place, to protect life, not destroy it." The humans around them, who had once doubted the alien, now looked at it with a mixture of respect and astonishment. The transformation was undeniable. What had once been a feared enemy had become an ally, not through coercion, but through trust, mercy, and shared struggle. As the battle continued, Jace received reports of a massive enemy flagship descending toward the base, piloted by the Alaris leader who had once commanded the alien. The news sent a ripple of tension through the command center. This was no ordinary confrontation. It was personal for the alien, and the stakes were higher than ever. The alien turned toward Jace, its glowing eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and resolve. "It comes for me," it said softly. "For my failure, my survival, my choice." "You will not face it alone," Jace replied firmly. "We fight together, not as humans and aliens, but as allies." The alien nodded, determination hardening within its chest. For the first time, it understood the meaning of partnership, of loyalty earned through actions, not fear. The impending confrontation was not just a battle for survival. It was a test of the choices it had made, the trust it had earned, and the bond that had formed with humans. When the flagship landed, the alien led the charge, striking fear into the hearts of its former comrades. Its knowledge of the enemy's tactics proved invaluable, allowing the humans to anticipate attacks and counter them effectively. The alien moved with precision, blocking attacks aimed at Jace and others, coordinating strikes and turning the tide of battle. The Alaris leader emerged, a towering figure clad in dark, gleaming armor. Its presence radiated power and authority, and its eyes locked onto the alien with recognition and anger. "You dared to survive," the leader roared. "You betrayed your kind." The alien stood firm, chest heaving, eyes glowing with determination. "I chose life, not death," it replied, voice steady. "I chose loyalty to those who showed me mercy, not obedience to tyranny." The leader advanced, weapon raised, striking with deadly precision. The alien met each attack with skill and focus, deflecting blows and countering with calculated strikes. Jace and his team fought alongside them, creating a synchronized force that the leader had not anticipated. The battle between the alien and its former leader was intense, each strike echoing with the weight of history, fear, and choice. The alien's movements were precise, informed by its training, human guidance, and personal resolve. It was no longer merely a warrior following orders. It was a being fighting for its own beliefs, for its new allies, and for a future it had chosen to embrace. Finally, with a coordinated effort, the alien delivered a decisive strike, disarming the leader and forcing them to their knees. The surrounding soldiers froze, witnessing the impossible, a former enemy, once feared across Kael'thar, now standing victorious, yet choosing restraint. The alien looked at the defeated leader, breathing heavily, and lowered its weapon. "I spare you," it said, voice firm. "Because mercy is not weakness, it is strength, it is choice, and it is the path to a better future." The leader stared, disbelief and anger flickering in their eyes before retreating. The remaining enemy forces, demoralized by the loss of their leader, surrendered or fled. The humans and the alien emerged victorious, not just through skill and firepower, but through the strength of trust, loyalty, and shared purpose. After the battle, the alien walked among the humans, assisting the wounded, offering guidance, and even sharing words of encouragement. It had earned their respect, not as a conqueror but as a protector. The soldiers who had doubted it now nodded in acknowledgement, recognizing the transformation that had occurred through courage, compassion, and choice. Jace approached the alien, his expression a mixture of pride and relief. "You've done more than survive," he said. "You've proven that even in war, choices matter, that mercy can create strength, that enemies can become allies." The alien looked at him, a faint glow of emotion in its eyes. "I have learned," it said softly. "I understand now that life is more than orders, more than obedience, more than fear. It is trust, courage, and the choices we make." In the following weeks, the alien continued to assist the humans, sharing intelligence, training soldiers, and participating in missions. Its perspective, once shaped entirely by fear and aggression, now included understanding, empathy, and strategy. It had become a symbol, proof that even the most feared warrior could change when offered mercy and guidance. The base slowly returned to normal, though the memory of the battle lingered. Soldiers spoke of the aliens' bravery, its transformation, and the lessons they had learned about compassion and courage. Jace watched quietly, knowing that this alliance, born from a single choice to show mercy, had altered the course of many lives. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, Jace and the alien stood on a ridge overlooking the base. The battlefield was quiet, the distant stars beginning to shine. The alien spoke, voice soft but filled with emotion. "I thank you, for life, for trust, for showing me another way." Jace nodded. "You earned it," he said. "Not because I spared you, but because you chose to change. That is true strength." The alien looked at him, understanding fully for the first time what it meant to fight for something greater than oneself. It had survived, yes, but more importantly, it had chosen a path of courage, loyalty, and compassion. A path that had transformed it from a feared warrior into a valued ally. As the night settled, the two stood in silence, watching the stars. The galaxy was vast, and challenges would come again. But for now, humanity had proven something extraordinary, that mercy, trust, and courage could create alliances stronger than any weapon, and that even the darkest hearts could be guided toward light. And in that quiet, reflective moment, both human and alien knew the truth. Survival was not merely about strength or skill. It was about choices, about the courage to trust, and the willingness to embrace compassion even when the world demanded otherwise. The alien warrior, once a symbol of fear, had become proof of humanity's power to inspire change, to teach courage, and to create hope. And for Jace, the memory of that plea, "If you let me live," would forever remind him that even in war, mercy was a weapon unlike any other. The stars twinkled above, indifferent to the struggles below, yet in the hearts of those who had chosen compassion over cruelty, there burned a light brighter than any celestial body. A light that promised that even in the harshest corners of the universe, humanity's strength, mercy, and courage could shape the future. And so, the alien warrior who had once begged for life, now walked proudly among humans, a living testament to the power of choice, the value of mercy, and the emotional bond that could arise from the most unexpected of beginnings.